Hey everybody, and welcome back to Split Couch Games. This is the Split Couch Podcast. I'm Scott. That's Ben. Say hi, Ben.
Howdy.
We have a pretty packed week here on the podcast. We have a lot to talk about, despite it being a slow news week. There's just a lot of interesting stories. So without further ado, take it away, Ben, our resident Overwatch
Expert? Question mark?
I was gonna say correspondent. That was the word that I was thinking.
Oh,
of.
okay.
Correspondent.
I was gonna say it's like I'm by no means an Overwatch expert. I'm not bad at the game, but I'm not great either. So one quick little mention is that this Tuesday, so I guess tomorrow, since this is coming out on Monday, on the 24th. They are starting a brand new event. It's a Chinese New Year, like Year of the Rooster type of event. So if you're into Overwatch, make sure you're, getting on there, getting all the loot boxes and the new costumes and everything like that. I'm sure.
I know. I'll be there.
Yeah, only because you have to be.
Yeah. We should take this opportunity to announce that soon we're going to be, our next competitive season, we're going to be doing a series of placement matches. And we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I'm not level 25 yet.
Nope. What rank are you?
Level 15. Got a little ways to
go. Yeah, you got some work to do, Scott. Because I don't know how much is left in this competitive season. So,
I think we established that the next one's probably going to start early March.
Okay. Well, then you definitely have some work to do.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it'll be fine.
So there's that. Like I said, make sure you log on, get loot boxes, all that kind of stuff. And there was a story written on Kotaku last Wednesday that talked about an Overwatch player that is repeatedly getting banned from chat simply because he gets reported because he plays Widowmaker. But he only plays Widowmaker. And a lot of people take issue with that because they'll play Widowmaker on maps where Widowmaker isn't even kind of useful. And a lot of the reporting comes in simply not only because, oh, you made a bad pick, but he's also not very good with Widowmaker. He's reportedly a very, very mediocre player, and he only chooses the one character, even though there are many other characters that would more appropriately benefit the team. Now, normally, in my personal opinion, this wouldn't be much of an issue if he were, maintaining this stance, if you will, only in quick play, but he goes into competitive matches and does this type of thing. So, I was just kind of curious what your thoughts were. I'm kind of middle of the road because, like, on one hand, I don't think he necessarily deserves to be banned from chat because of how he's playing and everything. Because, I mean, it is his experience. He can choose how he wants to play. Like, that's all 100% okay. But at the same time, like, when you're intentionally making bad choices that are negatively impacting the experience of the people playing with you, like, at what point does you doing you cross into intentional toxicity?
Well, that's the question that I have for you, how did this become a huge story? Like, did he complain about it on Twitter and it blew up, or is he some YouTuber who does it to troll? Like, what is...
I don't believe he's a YouTuber that does it to troll or anything. The only... I don't know if, like, maybe somebody that was part of the forum posts, like, linked it to Kotaku, and then they decided to write an article about it, or if maybe he reached out. I'm not entirely sure. I can't quite remember if that was even stated in the article. But there were lots of pictures of different forum posts, and I think maybe he actually reached out to Kotaku, or they reached out to him after the story was brought to him or something, because they did talk about talking to him.
Yeah. So it's not a case of him necessarily trying to get attention. It kind of blew up in some way.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. And I think it goes, like, for me, I know that in like when I played League of Legends, I would sometimes make some odd picks for support just because I wanted to mix things up for myself. I don't feel like I necessarily hurt the team. It was just an offbeat pick that wasn't considered meta.
Yeah.
For those who have played League, I sometimes would play Ahri support. You know, it's not a traditional support, but kind of created a interesting dynamic in bottom lane. That if it worked, it did really well. If it failed, kind of got smashed.
Yeah.
But I think I did that mostly in quick match. I don't think I ever did it in ranked. But for competitive Overwatch, it's a tough call because again, I'm all for people doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes it fun, and that's how you change metas and stuff, is by trying new things. And if he just enjoys Widowmaker, I don't think that's bad. I don't think it's necessarily toxic unless he's trying to be toxic, like he's just purposely failing as Widowmaker. That becomes an issue.
Yeah. And I mean, that's basically where I kind of stand. I mean, I don't know how to relate it to, League of Legends in any way, which I know you would understand better.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I feel like regardless of whether or not it's just you doing you and whether you're good or bad, I feel like there is a certain amount of intentional toxicity to making a bad pick. Because, I mean, it'd be one thing if this was just, like, every now and then, but it's literally, like, every single game.
Yeah.
He picks Widowmaker, and he doesn't switch off of Widowmaker.
Yeah.
And when the game is very clearly, whether or not you pay attention to the dev talks and advertisements and everything, a game that is very clearly predicated on the idea of switching in and out of heroes, depending on the circumstances of the match and that kind of thing, I feel like you have to know at that point that what you're doing is negatively impacting not only the performance of your team, but the overall experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it would be kind of like, I don't know, like going into Call of Duty and purposefully only using knives. I mean, I know some people do that, but, like, when the other team is good enough that it's ineffective, like, you still do it just because.
Sure.
That's kind of a bad example, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough because you're asking someone to give up their personal enjoyment. Again, this is assuming that it's not intentionally toxic. You're asking them, hey, don't play like you want to play, even though you purchased this game and this is your experience that you're creating.
Yeah.
You're affecting other people. And like it's a really tough thing to do, and I don't think a chat ban is the correct way to go about it.
Yeah. That was going to be another point, is that
because like that's a really weird, like, hey, you're being toxic without talking. Like, you're being considered toxic.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep you from we're not going to like stop you from being toxic in that way. We're just going to you're not going to be able to defend your pick or whatever.
And I can't help but wonder if that decision is based solely around whether or not, or back up. I can't help but wonder if that decision is based on simply whether or not Blizzard has the infrastructure to do a temporary play ban. So I mean, they can obviously do like a permanent play ban.
I would assume that they do. I think pretty much everyone does, and I know that Hearthstone has banned people.
Yeah.
I mean, like I know that they have bans, and I would assume that worst case scenario you just ban and then unban after a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think play ban is necessarily, maybe ranked ban if enough people are reporting.
Yeah, something like
being
that.
Uncooperative, then be like, okay, you can play your character over here in social or quick play, whatever it's called in Overwatch.
Yeah.
And I think that would be fine, because as much as I enjoy off meta picks, if it is becoming such a thing that so many people and there's articles written about it and all that, then there probably needs to be something changed.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of
So-
things that need to change, we're going to be moving on here to basically the title of this video. So if you guys stuck with us through the Overwatch discussion, we appreciate it very much. We're going to be talking about nude mods on the Xbox One for Skyrim Special Edition.
Because that's a thing.
That's not allowed.
No, it's not. And this isn't even anything that necessarily qualifies as news. I haven't seen any articles written about it anywhere at all.
It's Play Couch exclusive, guys.
Yeah. I just logged on to my Xbox last night, got onto Skyrim, and I was checking out the mods and everything just to mainly see if any of the mods I already had downloaded needed updates. And then in like the newly uploaded section, I saw a mod without a picture that just simply said like birthday suit. And I was like, what? So then, I click on it for more details, and the only thing in the description is 18 plus, and I'm like, no. So I go onto Bethesda.net's website to look at the comments in the mod page and everything, and there are all these people that are clearly talking about a nude mod, and I'm like, there's no way that like this got through or whatever. So I download the mod, go on, test it out, and sure enough, that's exactly what it is.
Sure, you tested it.
Yeah
Tested.
Anyways, but no, that's exactly what it is, and I can't help but wonder, I guess, how that even got through, because I was always under the assumption that Bethesda had some sort of system set up so that the mods had to be proofed before they could be released and downloaded solely to prevent things like this from happening.
So, for those who are unclear, I'm not a mod expert or anything like such as yourself. Not only are you an Overwatch expert, you're a Skyrim mod expert.
Yes.
You can check out Ben's videos on our channel. But from my understanding is that the difference between PC and Xbox modding at this point is that the Xbox One mods have to go through the mod app, like the mod application or the mod section of the game.
Yeah.
So there's a much more controlled environment there. As on a PC, you're able to basically you could it's easiest to put the mod in from the mod section of Steam or whatever. But you can also bring it down through an actual just download from anywhere.
Basically, yeah. The Xbox version of the game only links to Bethesda.net, and the mod section inside the game essentially acts as a installer, patcher, load order organizer, all-in-one kind of device. Whereas in the PC realm, there are third-party tools that will help you organize your load order, help you install mods, all that kind of stuff. Excuse me. But there is also the possibility of going to some random website that doesn't have any of that extra infrastructure or compatibility or anything, and downloading those mods and installing them yourself. It's a much longer, arduous, and albeit potentially error-prone process, but it is possible.
Yeah.
And I think that the main reason those extra precautions are put in place for consoles is because consoles are more aptly available to children.
Sure. I mean, I think that it's not so much just the children. I think that Microsoft, because I believe that they've even stated that those mods are not allowed. It specifically said that they're not allowed.
Correct.
On the store, and that's because it's their platform and they're protecting their platform.
Exactly.
But in a way that PCs, Microsoft can't be okay, Windows 10, no nude mods.
Yeah,
because there's no way to control that on a PC.
Exactly.
So it's just kind of buyer beware for PC users. You do what you want to do. We can't control that. Yeah. But on Xbox, we have this promise to our fans that or to our customers that this is going to be more or less safe for work, unless you're playing a rated M game, and like certain legal issues, which we talked about briefly last night, which you can reiterate if you would like.
Yeah. Well, I think as far as like the legal issues and everything are concerned, I think the primary difference is that a PC is more often viewed as a tool. Mm-hmm. You know, it can be used for work and pleasure, research, you know, whatever. Whereas a video game console is viewed as solely an entertainment medium.
Mm-hmm.
So because it's viewed as something that provides entertainment in that fashion, it's subject to all the restrictions and everything that are put forth by the ESRB and, you know, the movie ratings board and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly don't even think if you have, you know, like any third-party apps or something that you can get unrated content. Like, I'm not sure about that, but... Because, I mean, I don't fiddle around with, like, movies and, like, the Crunchyroll app and that kind of stuff. But I would imagine that there are a lot of, like, anime or even unrated versions of movies that you could maybe buy on DVD or something, but are not available digitally on the console because of those types of restrictions.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing, really, with the App Store for Apple. I don't think it's quite as strict for Google. Or Android, sorry, and where you have to submit the app and then be like, yo, this is the content in the app, and then if Apple's like, you know what, we don't want this on our
Store,
platform, we're gonna deny it. So I think Microsoft wants to control their brand as much as possible, and they don't want to become known as, oh, get your nude mods here on Xbox, your number one stop.
And I think that's very, very accurate. And honestly, like, even though I don't believe that mods and everything should be censored in that regard, I honestly fully understand and fully respect the decision between Bethesda and Microsoft on that, simply because, first of all, unfiltered mod access is a bad thing for anything that could even get close to a child, because there's some really messed up mods out there. But beyond that, I understand the whole, like, you know, fight the man, like, upload them anyways, even if only 20 people download it kind of thing. Like, I can understand that, but I feel like that's a very dangerous thing to do, because if this is something that gets completely out of control, then we could end up in a situation where Bethesda and Microsoft completely change their opinion on mods on consoles. You know, they could take them away completely, or, you know, maybe even potentially go the route of PlayStation and just be like, yeah, you can have mods, but only mods that are made from the resources that are in the vanilla game. And not to say that there aren't great mods that come from just vanilla resources, but the best ones come from bringing in outside resources.
I think that is the scary part. I don't think it's ever going to be Bethesda's personal decision. I think it's going to be Microsoft who shuts it down, and Bethesda's going to be like, well, we tried. And, you know, I do have a fear that this is going to ruin it for everyone, basically. Like, any game in the future is going to be like, you know, or some games in the future will be like, oh, I want to be able to mod this. But then Microsoft's going to be like, well, you know, we tried that. It didn't work because people are immature and can't follow the rules that we set forth. Which is sad. For sure.
And I mean, maybe this makes me weird, but I honestly don't even understand the appeal to a nude mod. Like, I guess on one hand you could be like, oh, it's a little bit of extra immersion. But at the same time, like, if you really want to see that stuff, just type it into Google and hit enter. You know? Like, it's not like that kind of thing is very hard to find.
I mean, I think it's just... Like, I mean, I'm with you. I don't understand it either. It might just be like, you know what? I'm playing this game. Might as well have this here. Like, for whatever reason.
I guess.
I don't know. I think that, like, the important thing is because Microsoft, again, I'm not 100% sure that they did this, but said this, but I'm pretty sure that they're against having these on there. I'm pretty sure that Bethesda doesn't want them there because they don't want to be in trouble with Microsoft.
Yeah.
So we're not going to link to any of this stuff to like. So
well,
like,
the one I found yesterday has already been taken down,
Sure.
which isn't shocking, I'm sure.
yeah, but we're not gonna link you to any of these mods. We're not gonna link you to any forum posts discussing it because we don't necessarily want to support this because it is, or at least I don't want to. I'm not gonna speak for Ben, but
I mean, I don't want to either. Like I said, I support the idea of being able to mod freely, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I feel like if you want that luxury, then maybe you should go get a low-end PC, you know?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, at this point, there are plenty of PCs out there that are just as little or maybe even less than getting a console that can run Skyrim perfectly fine, that you could mod to your heart's content.
yeah, and I think Microsoft terms of use, I think, are probably against this. So you're using their console, you need to, and you're using their platform, so you need to follow their rules. So we don't recommend trying to get around it. One, because we want to keep mods coming to consoles, and this could be a huge setback for that.
Yeah, and
It's
that's
just a headache for Microsoft if this keeps happening.
Exactly. And I mean, that's exactly how I feel about it. Although I understand that, you know, we don't want to be censored and all that kind of crap, but realistically, they're right to censor this type of thing. And because, I mean, we still live in a world where, you know, breasts and all that kind of stuff are kind of considered taboo. So it is.
Well, in the U.S.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Specifically in the United States. I mean,
Yeah.
you go over to Europe and you see a freaking Coke commercial and they're like, boobies! But anyways.
Babs! And they're just like, whatever.
Yeah. But no, I mean, Microsoft is well within their right to do this. And again, I understand why people want to, you know, fight the man and all that kind of stuff, but I don't think it's worth it because the end result of potentially getting mods removed from Xbox altogether is not that great.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that about covers that. We're going to move on to our last two stories. Really quick. Steam just announced, or just is rolling out release, it looks like, of the ability to natively change where your install folders are for your games. Small feature, but can definitely be really handy, especially if you are on a PC that has a solid state drive and a regular hard drive like I do. You can switch, or you can move installed games from your regular hard drive to the SSD so that they load faster when you're playing them, and then swap them back much easier than before, where you would have to go through this kind of what's the word I'm looking for, convoluted system, or uninstall, reinstall from Steam. So I think that's just it's a cool little feature, and I'm glad that they did it. Obviously it's not Half-Life 3, but you know, at least they're doing stuff.
Yeah, it's also kind of handy for mods, because one thing that wasn't always necessary, but was always highly suggested when it comes to modding on PC and everything, is that you would move your like Steam games install folder outside of the root C drive that it would normally install to, and that you would put it someplace else, because that would prevent it from, you know, like potentially messing up any like core files for your OS or something. I can't remember the exact reasoning, but it would it could potentially mess something up if you are doing a lot of modding from that root folder. So people always suggest moving it. Otherwise, you might have to uninstall and reinstall your entire operating system or something like that. So being able to like selectively be like, well, I want this game over here is nice, because you don't have to move the entire thing, and then you can just still kind of freely mod games like Skyrim. So
So I think it's just a cool feature. That's all we really had to say about it. If you guys are interested in that feature, you can look for it in your settings menu. 1 second. It's in your settings and then local files. And it'll be, it's just quick walkthrough. You can go find the game you want to move in your games library, right click, select properties, click the local files tabs, and then click move install folder, and it will get you to where you want to be.
Yep.
And then other big news, did not realize that this happened, but Gabe Newell did a AMA. And as you can imagine, no one, not a single person asked him about Half-Life 3.
So
that's not true.
I was about to say, it's like I didn't actually like look into that very much, so I don't know if you're being serious. I imagine you're not, but
no, he did. Basically, the question was, what is the status? Yada yada yada. Some identified anonymous source at Valve has said that Half-Life 3 has been canceled. Is that source legitimate? Gabe Newell's response was, the number 3 must not be said. Yes, I personally believe all unidentified anonymous sources on the internet. I don't know what that means, because that doesn't mean that it kind of sounds sarcastic to me, to be honest with you. Like, yes, you should believe every unidentified source on the internet.
Yeah.
Every single one. They're 100% right.
Yeah.
But he also says, I personally believe, so it's like, maybe he's like, you know what? Yeah, there's no Half-Life 3.
Huh. Yeah, and honestly, when it comes to Half-Life 3, I don't really know how to feel personally. Because, don't get me wrong, like, I loved Half-Life 1 and 2 and, you know, the, 2 episodes, I guess, that came with afterwards. Yep. But it's kind of one of those things where it's like, we've been waiting for it so long that I feel like no matter what Valve does, it would kind of turn into a Duke Nukem Forever, where it's just been so hyped for so long that they could literally release the only perfect game in existence and people would still be let down.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if anyone's would be able to do it, it would be Valve, because Valve doesn't make a bad game.
Sure.
But that being said, I think you're right that like it's never going to live up to the expectations. But I think people like still want them to try. I think that they'll be disappointed in the product, but not disappointed that it happened. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about Half-Life, because everything that's been said or could be said has been said at this point. But he also confirmed, or he very briefly said, yep, when asked about other games that take place in the Half-Life Portal universe.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams and Valve are still working on movies for that universe as well, which I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah.
It seems like right up, like a Portal movie would be right up J.J. Abrams' alley, with like bright lights and lens flares.
Lots of explosions.
Yeah.
Because reasons.
We'll definitely link to the Kotaku article that kind of takes the highlights of the conversation. There's some stuff about their business practices, why they do certain things, like why they don't talk about what they're developing, what they plan to do with Source 2, their new engine. Kind of on the topic that we talked about, someone asked about would they ever consider releasing uncensored pornographic games, and he said,
okay, sorry. I for a second it took me a bit to catch up. I was like, wait, are they talking like porn versions of Portal or something? Like, what's going on? Then I realized they're talking about like all the like censored
dating mods, dating sims,
those
that you can like download mods separate from Steam and whatnot. But and he basically responds like, there's two problems, is that it's going to be we would have to just like open it up to everyone, and then there would have to be a reliable system for people to filter that out.
Yeah.
And that's a huge barrier for that kind of thing, for sure.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. There's some interesting reason there. Gabe Newell is usually a fairly private person, I believe. So anytime that especially Valve in general, is a very private company. So anytime you get some insider look into what's going on, I think that's super interesting, especially if you're looking to enter the industry.
Yeah.
At all. So we'll definitely link that in the description below, and you guys can check that out.
Yes, sir.
And we just about hit our 30-minute mark, so this might be the closest we get to the actual 30 minutes.
The most concise and you know on the mark that we get.
Because we're going for 30 minutes. Yeah, that's pretty much all we have for today. If you guys enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a like. You guys can subscribe if you would like to. And if you guys didn't like it, please leave a comment below letting us know why. If you did like it, let us know why you did like it so we can do that, where we can do more of that.
All that good stuff. I know that there are, you know, obviously a lot of small channels and everything that kind of essentially beg for the likes and everything. You know, like, we're not doing like the whole, let's see if we could get 10,000 likes on this video kind of thing.
We wouldn't be able to get 10,000 likes. That's a very bold.
I'm just saying,
yeah,
like,
I know.
We're just trying to get feedback because we are trying to make this channel better. You know, we're trying to make it a place where people can come to get, you know, regular gaming content for both, you know, like maybe story-oriented Let's Plays as well as some PvP and, you know, general news stuff.
Yeah, we like video games. We like talking about video games. We like playing video games, and hopefully you guys like watching us play video games.
Yeah.
And as always, like, if you guys are interested in Let's Plays, let us know any games that you guys would like us to play, and we'll get those to you as soon as we can.
Yeah. So we will see you guys next time on Split Couch Games. Bye.
I hope that lined up pretty well. I don't think it did.
That's
Bye.
okay.